Dominica gets international commitment to its post-hurricane rebuilding process. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Thursday, October 12. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Ricardo Roberts. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. On the heels of announcing its plan to become the world's first green, climate-resilient nation as it rebuilds from the devastating Hurricane Maria, Dominica has got some promised help to fulfill that mission. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit made the disclosure Thursday morning at his daily press briefing, where he reported positive outcomes from recent meetings in Washington and Miami with the U.S. State Department, the IMF, the World Bank, and other agencies about his country's recovery from the destructive storm. Dominicans will have to wait until tomorrow when he addresses the nation to hear the details. But Skerrit said the plan for Dominica to create history by becoming a climate-resilient nation has buy-in from outside the island.
In Washington, all of whom have agreed to assist us in developing this master plan, developing a master plan for the country, which of course we will share and engage all sectors of society in reviewing this plan, giving their input, giving their suggestions, proposing amendments to the plan, and we will, coming out of this national consultation with various stakeholders across the length and breadth of Dominica, then we will have a stamp of approval for this master plan and taking the country forward. Tomorrow I will also announce one benefactor who has agreed to provide 100 new homes to Dominica. Homes that can withstand Category 5 hurricanes, and taking into consideration all of the energy efficient aspects. And that benefactor has also committed to building 2 new schools for us.
Prime Minister Skerrit also disclosed that a U.S. company plans to give Dominica a 3-megawatt solar generator. The name of the company and the details of what he described as a significant donation will be disclosed on Friday as well. At that time, a package of financial assistance for the farming community and small business owners will also be unveiled. There will also be an announcement on the curfew which was imposed after the hurricane's passage, based on advice from the Chief of Police. During his press conference on Thursday, Skerrit also revealed that schools will reopen next Monday. The Trinidad and Tobago government is being warned there will be riots in the Twin Island Republic over the latest budget that the trade union movement has described as anti-worker. The warning came on Wednesday from the head of the Joint Trade Union Movement, Ansel Roger. CNC3's Otto Carrington reports.
The Joint Trade Union Movement is warning government that there will be riots in this country. The movement's leader, Ansel Roger, was referring to statements made by Finance Minister Colm Imbert at an IMF function when he said citizens did not riot despite the reduction in the fuel subsidy. Today, Roger, along with other labor federations, delivered a letter to the office of the Prime Minister highlighting their concerns about the 2018 national budget.
He did, in his most usual arrogant style, say to the IMF forum last year that, well, I raised fuel costs once, there was no riot. I raised it again and there was no riot. I might raise it again in the next budget. And that has become a reality. What has not become a reality as yet is what is going to become a reality very soon. That the riot that he beckoned and he spoke about, it is time for this country to riot, to put this place in order.
The trade unions have had several meetings since last Monday's budget, describing the fiscal package as anti-worker. He says he wants an urgent response from the Prime Minister.
This is urgent, and the budget debate is continuing, and we expect by the time that budget debate has been concluded and the minister, finance minister, has been given an opportunity to respond, we expect that he will retract this most anti-people austerity measure given to him by the IMF and the World Bank.
JTM and other trade unions say they will commence public education campaigns nationwide. Roger says it's an effort to educate the population about the measures in the budget.
We are going to be going from east, west, north, and south, all of the cardinal points, all of our main town centers and so on in this country, mobilizing, making the population aware of the deception that was committed on them in this budget.
Still in Trinidad and Tobago, Health Minister Terence Dialsing says local drug suppliers have been ripping off the country, overcharging the state by millions for basic pharmaceutical drugs and other supplies, and the sick and suffering are the ultimate victims. And he has shared his plans to continue overhauling the procurement processes and bring an end to the dishonest practice.
One class of drugs alone, which is drugs for HIV, we have saved this country $60 million TT in 1 year. In 1 year, by simply switching supply to the Powerhouse Strategic Fund.
Drug shortages, persons awaiting surgeries for months and years. Could it be because of greed? The health minister says the state has hemorrhaged millions of dollars by sourcing drugs through local suppliers, who he has found to have inflated prices by as much as 85% in some cases. But the inflation is not limited only to pharmaceuticals. As it turns out, the state has also been grossly overpaying for surgical tools. And while local suppliers have been making a mint, it's been having a serious impact on persons in need of surgery.
This plate is $18 US. 1/8. Do you know how much the RHAs pay a local supplier for this plate? $5,800. This is why you can't perform enough orthopedic surgeries in our public health system. We are being ripped off.
The ministry has now begun procuring certain drugs through the Power Strategic Fund, but the minister says there are still holes in the wider procurement process which need to be plugged.
This is an absurdity, and I'm telling the people of Trinidad and Tobago now, as Minister of Health, looking after your interests, this is going to be brought under central tender purchase.
And that report from Renessa Cutting of TV6 News. Coming up in Caribbean Newsline, regional tourism stakeholders told about some potential in one North American market. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Come, sail with us through our ocean blues, where there's a blessed land that's waiting for you. Shh, look, listen, feel. Realize your dream escape that's magically surreal. The best kept secret, a place you'll never forget, where adventure beckons with every gentle footstep. From lush mountain green to warm volcanic sand, submerged in splendor, our 32 enchanting islands. A kaleidoscope of experiences. No need to look anymore. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Caribbean you're looking for.
So let's start with the East. Boston and Cleveland, clearly, they're looking like the cream of the crop in the East so far. Any team you see that can upset that prediction?
Oh yeah, for sure. The Bucks. I know Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's going through some hard times with his father right now. Shout out to that. I feel really bad for him. But if he comes back, I think he'll do really well. Kobe Bryant challenged him to become MVP this season. He does have the talent.
The Caribbean is being urged to pay more attention to the Canadian tourist market because there's a developing trend that could pay off big. Get the details from CMC's Nicole Best, who is in Grenada for the Caribbean Tourism Organization's State of the Industry Conference, SOTIC.
Senior Research Associate with the Canadian Tourism Research Institute says there has been an increase in the number of Canadians traveling to the Caribbean in the off-season. Jennifer Hendry told delegates at SOTIC 2017, currently underway in Grenada, that they should capitalize on this off-season growth.
Over the past 6 seasons, winter season arrivals, so that's November to April, grew at an average rate of 1.8%. At the same time, summer season arrivals grew at an average rate of 5%. This shift does present an opportunity to further increase the region's market share during those off-season months.
Over 2 million Canadians have visited the Caribbean for the first 6 months of this year, a 5.2% increase over the same period last year. However, not all countries of the region have benefited from this overall increase.
A few countries are still experiencing ongoing declines in visitation, but most destinations have seen increased arrivals so far this year. However, it is price-driven, as 72% of those arrivals so far this year were to the Dominican Republic and Cuba. Already this year, visits to the Dominican have grown 8.2%, and Cuba's up about 3%.
In addition to price, overall travel to the region is particularly affected by Canadian personal economics, the U.S. exchange rate, and the weather.
In fact, 84% of those who traveled to the Caribbean just this past summer live in Ontario and Quebec, and these two provinces had a very unseasonably cool and wet summer. So they seem to want to flock out of the country in order to actually experience summer in July when we should have had our summer season. When asked to rate their destination on a variety of factors that we presented, in fact, favorable weather received the highest rating from these travelers.
Going forward, the Caribbean is being encouraged to develop multi-generational travel packages to attract the Canadian traveler and promote the need for security and access to other non-beach activities for the older travelers. In St. George's, Grenada, Nicole Best, CMC News.
Also addressing the conference, Director of the Economic Department at the Caribbean Development Bank, Dr. Justin Ram, advocated that countries set up a delivery unit to ensure implementation of national strategic plans. He was addressing the conference on the topic, the real economic cost of disaster and how to build resilience. Dr. Ram said there are a number of governments with elaborate and promising development plans, but there is a serious implementation deficit in the region.
Now, this delivery unit is meant to assist in ensuring that government priorities can be implemented. And it does that by having the right individuals employed in the delivery unit, but also working across ministries and also engaging and having all stakeholders involved. Now, that's not going to happen unless you have the buy-in at the very top of government. That first step is essential for this to work well. So governments, including the cabinet, must be fully on board with this. These are our priorities, and this is what we are going to implement over the next 4 to 5 years.
Says he is confident that when set up, each country's delivery unit can produce substantial benefits in the short to medium term. But he adds that the first step is to get political buy-in from all sides agreeing on the broad-based development plans for their countries. He says this would require political maturity, but would inevitably ensure that despite political changes based on elections, the continued implementation of the national development plans would be assured.
Working, it's a new form of accountability that ensures that whoever is in power is accountable for ensuring that we as a society move towards the stated goals of our overall vision documents that have buy-in across the political spectrum.
In the Bahamas, the founder and leader of the Democratic National Alliance, the DNA, is stepping down. Branville McCartney says it's time for him to go, but he says he still believes his party is the best choice to govern the country. At the same time, he's complaining that Bahamians are stuck in the past and not ready for change. Kelshia Adderley of ZNS Network News reports.
From an unknown candidate to Bamboo Town MP, Branville McCartney's career has raced from cabinet minister to party founder and opposition leader in the Senate in the space of 10 years. But he announced to the Democratic National Alliance Congress Sunday that he's passing the baton.
I think I've taken it as far as I can as a party and as a leader. And I think it's time for new, fresh blood to move the party forward.
But looking back, McCartney says the electorate's pattern of vacillating between the FNM and PLP since 2002 has informed this personal summary.
Creatures stuck on the past, afraid to move forward in connection with change, satisfied with mediocrity, content with being a third world country.
The DNA's interim leadership will fall to Deputy Chris Mortimer in accordance with the party constitution. Deputy leadership elections will be held soon, but the leadership election will be held at convention set to take place by next September.
Staying with politics, but moving over to Jamaica, the Office of the Political Ombudsman says candidates for the 3 upcoming by-elections are expected to affirm their commitment to good governance and to fair campaigning by signing an agreement and declaration on political conduct on Friday. Candidates for the constituencies of St. Andrew Southwest, the Jamaica Labour Party's Dane Dennis and the People's National Party's PNP Mark Golding and St. Andrew South PNP's Dr. Angela Brown-Burke and JLP's Victor Hyde will sign the political conduct agreement in the morning. Meanwhile, the candidates for St. Mary's South East PNP's Dr. Shane Alexis and JLP's Dr. Norman Dunn will sign on later in the afternoon. The signing will come 4 days after nomination day and exactly a week before the October 30 by-elections. And ahead in Newsline Sport, Trinidad and Tobago's football coach says a ghost haunting the team for more than 3 decades has been put to rest. We'll explain what he means after the break. Stay with us.
Come, sail with us through our ocean blues, where there's a blessed land that's waiting for you. Shh, look, listen, feel, realize your dream escape that's magically surreal. The best kept secret, a place you'll never forget, where adventure beckons with every gentle footstep. From lush mountain green to warm volcanic sand, submerged in splendor, our 32 enchanting islands. A kaleidoscope of experiences. No need to look anymore. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Caribbean you're looking for.
Trying to get into different events and things like that, and my publicist is sending things out to people and they're like, well, we've never even heard of wakeboarding, like, is it skateboarding? And it's like, no, it's not, it's different. So I don't know if it was maybe more akin to having now become like a fish in a big pond, whereas before it was more of a big fish in a smaller pond.
Grow your business or promote your event through the services offered by the Caribbean Media Corporation and Carib Vision. Our distribution provides a platform on cable, terrestrial television, and websites. We cover carnivals and events from across the region. We can bring your event live and alive to the world. For music makers, program producers, businesses, we can expand your reach to in excess of 2 million households daily. Our other services include news updates to enhance your media products, studio space for program and development. We can facilitate the launch of new products and services and training. Contact us and we will help you unleash your creative ability, develop products and services, and provide the medium to watch them grow. Contact Loretta Skeet at cmccaribbean.com or call her 1-246-467-1044 or 1-246-253-3889. Call and book your carnival or event today.
The ghost that has been haunting the Trinidad and Tobago football team since 1989 has now been put to rest. That's what head coach Dennis Lawrence said following his team's 2-1 victory against CONCACAF giants USA. The former defender, who was instrumental in taking the Twin Island Republic to the World Cup in 2006, praised his team for a job well done and says Tuesday's victory is the beginning of a new era for TNT.
Team Dennis Lawrence gave a Rocky Balboa-like speech to his team that had a point to prove against the USA. He reveals what he said to the team going into the match.
One of the things I said to the boys and them, this is not about us against the USA. This is about us versus us. And we've had a rough time. We've had a rough time. Everybody knows we've lost a few games. We've took a few punches. Tonight we punch back. I thought we punched back against Mexico, and tonight we punch back again. The boys got a reward tonight, and I'm just delighted for the boys.
However, it's not only his team that he is happy for. Lawrence says that the victory puts to rest the pains of 1989.
I'm satisfied, yes, that we managed to hold out and get the 2-1 victory. I'm obviously disappointed that we conceded a goal because I was desperate for a clean sheet. But as I said before, when you come into games like these, you've got to expect there's going to be a challenge from the opposition. As I said before, everything was at stake for the US. I think 1989 is now behind us, so we can go forward now.
His opposite number, US coach Bruce Arena, had a rough conference. He explained where it all went wrong.
I think we foolishly brought Trinidad into the game with the own goal. And at that point, we were starting to get into the game and it was going to be okay. And that goal was a big goal for Trinidad psychologically.
It's a booster that Dennis Lawrence hopes will motivate the national football team in matches to come.
I would like everybody to look at tonight and just understand that is the beginning of our new era. We must continue in that form. There has to be discipline, structure, organization, and pride for Trinidad and Tobago.
Over to cricket now. West Indies speedster Shannon Gabriel has come in for praise from veteran cricket administrator Lockhart Sebastian for his generosity in giving towards the hurricane relief efforts in Dominica. Sebastian, a Dominican who is also a West Indies selector, said Gabriel made a substantial contribution before he left for the 2-test tour of Zimbabwe last Monday. He said Gabriel donated 2 new generators and $1,000 worth of items. Hurricane Maria, a Category 5 system on the Saffir-Simpson scale, struck Dominica last month, leaving 30 dead and causing widespread devastation. There was also damage to the country's lone test venue, Windsor Park, which has hosted 5 tests over the last 7 years, including a thrilling finale to the recent Pakistan series last May. The Trinidad and Tobago Cricket Board, Queen's Park Club and Sports Company of Trinidad and Tobago have joined forces to stage a hurricane relief T20 match on Saturday to raise funds for those countries affected by both Maria and Hurricane Irma. Sebastian said the situation in Dominica remained grave and any assistance would be welcomed. Staying with cricket now, West Indies women overpowered Sri Lanka women by 6 wickets to take a 1-0 lead in the 3-match one-day series on Wednesday. Now playing at the Brian Lara Cricket Stadium, they easily chased down 137 with 11 overs to spare, securing the result which handed them an important 2 points in the new round of the ICC Women's Championship. Former captain Marissa Aguilera top-scored with an unbeaten 32, while Chedi Nation got 24 and DeAndre Dottin and Haley Matthews 22 apiece. Left-arm spinner and captain Inoka Ranawira claimed 2 for 27. Now, earlier, the visitors were dismissed for 136 with 2 balls left in the innings after winning the toss and opting to bat. Opener Yashoda Mendes top-scored with 34 off 72 balls, while Delani Manodara scored 28 not out and Shamari Atapatu 25. They were undermined by off-spinner Haley Matthews and Stephanie Taylor, along with leg spinner Afi Fletcher, all of whom grabbed 3 wickets each. An executive member of the Jamaica Anti-Doping Commission has taken the organization to court in an attempt to keep his job. TVJ's Keon Rayner has the special report.
This is the special Primetime Sports Investigative Report. Now here's your reporter.
With only 24 hours remaining before Kerry Brown's termination as executive director of JADCO takes effect, the man who has led the organization since 2013 is not going without a fight. As such, His attorney Hugh Wildman has sought and received an injunction from the Supreme Court, halting Jadco's move to fire Brown even as he seeks a judicial review to have the matter quashed. Wildman, who spoke with TVJ Sports via telephone on Tuesday, says the move by the Jadco board to sack Brown was unconstitutional.
Well, we are contending that the board cannot dismiss Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown is a public servant. He's appointed under the Constitution, Section 125, and he was seconded to the job as the executive director. That appointment as a public officer remains, in fact, and has been confirmed by Section 10.6 of the Jadco Act. Therefore, he cannot be dismissed at the pleasure of the board. That is totally incorrect. It's unconstitutional.
Attorney Wildman also revealed that an initial injunction granted by the Supreme Court last Wednesday was extended today, with the matter to be heard on November 1. Chairman of the Jadco board, Alexander Williams, who had confirmed the board's decision to sever ties with Kerry Brown mainly over procedural breaches on September 11, believes the board remains on solid ground. Williams, who also revealed that Jadco's interest is being represented by attorney Althea Jarrett out of the Attorney General's chambers, is not concerned over Brown's attempt to keep his job.
Suffice it to say, we are challenging his application and we feel that we are on strong ground.
However, Wildman is confident that Brown will be allowed to keep his job as executive director of Jadco.
The law is clear. We have done a number of cases dealing with the removal of public officers from the job, and Mr. Brown falls into that category.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
See them on social media type. While I said them they a studio advice. Oh, me never put them up on no flight. And me never see them a live no tour life. You miss a man, now you have so much likes. I'm always still a lead for iTunes. Simple me, we not ready yet. If we put the music first, that's all. While we there on a war and a hype. Free work, that's all. When you see me, yes, I see I.
Again, the major developments of this day. Dominica gets international commitment to its post-hurricane rebuilding process. And in sport, Trinidad and Tobago's football coach says a ghost haunting the team for more than 3 decades has been put to rest with its 2-1 victory against CONCACAF giants USA. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sports round the clock, log on to CarnaNews.com. We'll be back here again tomorrow, but from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching. Have yourselves a good night.